بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قال الإمام الحافظ أبو عيسى الترمذي رحمه الله: باب ما جاء في سترة المصلي. حدثنا قتيبة وهناد قال حدثنا أبو الأحوص عن سماك بن حرب عن موسى بن طلحة عن أبيه قال: قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: إذا وضع أحدكم بين يديه مثل مؤخرة الرحل فليصل ولا يبالي من مر وراء ذلك. قال: وفي الباب عن أبي هريرة وسهل بن محثمة وابن عمر وسبرة بن معبد الجهني وأبي جحيفة وعائشة. قال أبو عيسى: حديث طلحة حديث حسن صحيح، والعمل على هذا عند أهل العلم وقالوا سترة الإمام سترة لمن خلفه. At-Tirmidhi rahimahullah, the great Hafiz of Islam, Abu Isa, he says in his Jami', it's hadith number 335, volume 2, page 156. Babu ma ja'a fi sutratil musalli, says the hadiths regarding the sutra of the one who's offering prayer. Hadiths, athar, narrations, akhbar regarding the sutra, the screen or the covering of one who is offering the salah, i.e., some of the rulings, some of the do's and don'ts. The ruling of taking a sutra, with the length of the sutra, what happens if someone walks between you and the sutra, etc. Babu ma ja'a, that which is mentioned from the Rasul alayhi salam, perhaps what some of the Sahaba did, perhaps what some of the Sahaba understood and implemented, etc. That's what Tirmidhi means when he says Babu ma ja'a, what has come, what is mentioned. At-Tirmidhi rahimahullah, he says, Qutayba and Hanad have reported to us, meaning At-Tirmidhi was sitting in a class with other students, other disciples, and their sheikh was named Qutayba, who we know as Qutayba ibn Sa'id al-Baghlani. Qutayba ibn Sa'id was the teacher of At-Tirmidhi, and Tirmidhi was among other students. So At-Tirmidhi is telling us, At-Tirmidhi put in his book, At-Tirmidhi is telling his disciples, haddathana Qutayba. Qutayba told us. Just like I'm telling you, we were told. Just like I'm giving you the narration, our sheikh, our ustadh, he gave us the narration, and we were in a majlis of hadith. And not only Qutayba, but also another sheikh whose name is Hanad, whose name is Hanad ibn as-Sari. Hanad ibn as-Sari, he wrote a book, or he also is the teacher of Imam Tirmidhi in his isnad. And these two men, they got the narration from a man whose name was Abu al-Ahwas, who reported from Simak ibn Harb, who reported from Musa ibn Talha, who reported from his father, Talha, who said that the Messenger of Allah ﷺ said, إِذَا وَضَعَ أَحَدُكُمْ بَيْنَ يَدَيْهِ مِثْلَ مُؤَخَّرَةِ الرَّحْلِ. He says, when one of you wishes to pray, you're offering the salah, you want to make salah, and you place something in front of you. And the thing that you place in front of you has the length, similar length of mu'akharat al-rahl, or mu'kharat al-rahl, or mu'khirat al-rahl, the back of a saddle, the back post of a saddle, similar to one's forearm, similar to a foot in length, similar, 12 inches, like a ruler, similar. Now I'm a little shorter, a little higher. What's important, you place something in front of you when you wish to make the salah, فَلْيُصَلِّ. He says, then make the salah after you've done that, after you've placed a sutra in front of you. After you've placed a sutra in front of you, then you should do so. It says here, وَلَا يُبَالِي مَنْ وَرَاءَ ذَلِكَ. وَلَا يُبَالِي مَنْ مَرَّ وَرَاءَ ذَلِكَ. He says, and after you've placed a sutra in front of you, anyone who comes in front of you, anyone who walks in front of the sutra, don't worry about it. Don't care, don't have no concern. It should not bother you at all. Once more, the Messenger of Allah, he says, إِذَا وَضَعَ أَحَدُكُمْ بَيْنَ يَدَيْهِ مِثْلَ مُؤَخَّرَةِ الرَّحْلِ فَلْيُصَلِّ وَلَا يُبَالِي مَنْ مَرَّ وَرَاءَ ذَلِكَ. He says, when you wish to make the salah, and you've placed a sutra in front of you, similar to the length of the back of a saddle, then you can make the salah. He didn't say before that, he says after that, then فَلْيُصَلِّ. And anyone who walks in front of you, meaning in front of that sutra, from beyond the point of the thing, the staff or the wall or the chair or the back, whatever you use, which is similar in length to the back of a saddle, then it doesn't bother you, it doesn't break your salah, continue your salah. At-Tirmidhi rahimahullah, he says after this hadith in his Jami', وفي الباب عن أبي هريرة, he says other companions who narrated hadith similar to this, speaking about the sutra, its length, the ruling of the sutra, the obligation of placing the sutra, the recommendation of placing the sutra. Naam, someone walking in front of you in the sutra. Naam. He says from the companions who reported hadiths on this topic was Abu Hurairah, also Sahal ibn Abi Hathma, Abdullah ibn Umar, Sabra ibn Ma'bad al-Juhani, Abu Juhayfa, and Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha. In other words, at-Tirmidhi, as we've said before, is from the forefathers of the science which is called at-Takhrij, ilm at-Takhrij, in which the different people of hadith, they take a narration that is quoted in a book of fiqh or book of tafsir or any other book, and then they make a azu. They then go back to the original sources. وَأَمَّا حَدِيثُ أَبُو هُرَيْرَةَ أو وَمَا حَدِيث أَبِي هُرَيْرَةَ فَأَخْرَجَهُ فُلَانٌ وَمَا حَدِيث سَهْلِ بْنِ حَثْمَةَ فَرَوَاهُ فُلَانٌ وَمَا حَدِيث ابن عمر فهو عند مالك في الموطأ وَأَمَّا حَدِيث سَبْرَةِ بن معبد فهو إلى آخره. Is that you reference the hadiths back to where they came from, and it also shows that there are supporting evidences, and that this is not the only hadith on the topic, and there are other companions who narrate the hadith like this, which has many benefits, showing the importance of the topic. It was something that was well known in the time of the Prophet ﷺ. It wasn't just one companion who saw it and passed it on. Naam, how to understand this one narration, what is the ruling, is it wajib or just mustahab, etc. These are fawaid of learning the other supporting narrations or conflicting narrations. And this is why many of the ulama will say, Al-babu illam tajma' turuqah lam yatabayyin khata'uh. He says, if you don't gather everything together, then you can't truly understand what's right and what's wrong. Tayyib, khairan inshallah. Moving forward, as another faida of the Tirmidhi's book is that it gives the takhrij, all right, and it shows the shawahid. Then the Tirmidhi gives you another faida, and this is a faida that you're not going to find in Sahih Bukhari, you're not going to find in Sahih Muslim, you're not going to find this, all right, you may find it seldom times in Sunan Abi Dawood and things like this, isharat here and there in Bukhari and Muslim, but you're not going to find this tansis like this, clear and simple and plain in front of you. You can only find this in Tirmidhi's book like this, in this way, in this consistent manner, all of the time. At-Tirmidhi, he gives you the ruling of the hadith, the grade of the hadith. He says the hadith of Talha is hasanun sahih, is authentic hadith. So that's a faida, once more, that you cannot get in the other books of the Kutub Sitta, the Kutub Khamsa, the other 5 books. You can't, this is a benefit, a faida that you can get that is not in Bukhari or in Muslim or any other book. Is that Tirmidhi gives you the hukum on every single hadith. Moving forward, another faida that Tirmidhi gives, he says, وَالْعَمَلُ عَلَى هَذَا عِنْدَ أَهْلِ الْعِلْمِ. This is not a hadith which has been abandoned or ignored or neglected for one reason or another. It's not mansukh. It's not something in which is a lot of difference of opinion on, so on and so forth. He says that the people of knowledge implement this hadith. Ahlul ilm, they're upon this hadith, meaning the Sahaba, meaning the Tabi'een, the Salaf. And this shows us the fiqh of the Salaf. And this is another sensational benefit of the Jami' of at-Tirmidhi, is that it's considered to be a mawsu'ah. The people of knowledge say it is a compendium, an encyclopedia of the fiqh Salaf. Not the fiqh of the people who came later on and this one and that one, but the actual fiqh of the Tabi'een, the fiqh of the Sahaba. And he also mentions the fiqh of some of the famous ulama of madhabs as well. All right, such as Shafi'i, such as Ahmed, such as Ishaq ibn Rahawayh, Naam, Abdullah ibn Mubarak. Occasionally he'll mention the fiqh of Ahl al-Kufa and of Nu'man, so on and so forth, even if he doesn't necessarily mention his name. So therefore, it shows us that this hadith is something that the people of knowledge implemented. So this goes to show you is that just like there's the grading of the hadith, there's also the fiqh of the hadith. And they go hand in hand. It's a 1-2 punch, a jab and a right cross. It's salt and there's pepper. They go right hand in hand. They go hand in hand. The sihha, authenticity of the hadith, and then the fiqh of the hadith. And it shouldn't be one without the other. It should be a balance, a blend of both, of science of hadith and the fiqh of hadith. Naam? And that has been, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, a way of having secure fiqh and being strong and powerful when you have both. Khairan, inshallah, not having flaws in the other. And one weakness cancels out, one strength cancels out the other weakness. Tayyib. He then says, and this also shows us there's some hadiths that the people of knowledge for one reason or another may not implement because it's another hadith or it's mansukh or whatever the case may be, the details of that. Another fa'idah Tirmidhi gives us, show you how generous and bountiful his book is. He says, وَقَالُوا, and they say, those ulama, they say, Sutratul Imam, Sutratun liman khalfahu. It says that when the Imam has a sutra, then it's a sutra for those who are behind him, i.e. in congregation, in Salatul Jama'ah. So what do you benefit from this in 2017 in Toronto or in Birmingham or Berkshire? What do you benefit from this book, this ancient book? This book, Tirmidhi, was written over 1,200 years ago. Do we know this? Over 1,200 years. It's an ancient classic text. We benefit from it is that when you walk into the masjid or you're out in the park at the Eid or wherever you are and the Imam has the podium in front of him or the microphone stand in front of him or whatever is his sutra in front of him, you can come into the masjid and you're looking for a place to pray. And the door is on the left side of the saf or the right side of the saf or the back of the saf. And you can walk until you find a spot in the row and walk in front of people. And then no one is supposed to stop you and stick out their arm. You can't let anyone walk in front of you when you have a sutra. No. Because the Imam's sutra suffices everyone else. So let's say there are 10 rows of brothers or sisters, and the sister walks in from the back or the left or the right. You can walk all the way until you find a spot. Or in the time we were in Medina, during the nights of Taraweeh, okay, in Ramadan, the masjid is extremely packed. The Prophet's masjid, anyone who's ever been there knows, extremely packed. Like Hajj, extremely packed. Okay, so you may walk into one door and you have to walk for a while until you actually find a spot in the row, a place to pray. People have their glasses in front of them, or their car keys, or their cell phone, or their shoes in a bag, for example, or whatever the case may be, a water bottle in front of them, okay, whatever the case may be. And you have to step over it, and there's some people that'll stick out their arm like, no, you can't walk in front of me. And that's incorrect. Because the Imam all the way in the front, and despite the hundreds of people that are behind him, the thousands of people, his sutra is the only sutra that's important. You can't walk in front of him and his sutra. But you can walk between the rows until you find a place and you find, you wedge yourself in between the rows. So it's a major fa'idah. And also is to show you the virtue of the Imam and the responsibility of the Imam. And that is that he is responsible for the people behind him. Khairan, inshallah ta'ala. As far as the details of the sutra and its rulings, then alhamdulillah, we've done several lectures on that and made a playlist on that. Here, our main focus is the fawaid that we take from the book of Imam at-Tirmidhi. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.